the news and see what is going on in the news. What is going on? There's so much going on in the news. You know, I try to figure it out, and I try to make sense of it, because you know what, we are almost in an economical collapse. But first, I'm going to talk about the war. But there's things that are going on in the news. Okay, I'm gonna talk about overseas, but and there's a war going on right now in Ukraine. Very interesting to me. And the thing is, it makes me wonder. I wonder, some people saying the Russians are just totally wrong. Okay? I don't happen to believe that they're wrong. I don't. Because we talk about history, so history cannot be repeated. The reason I don't believe that they're wrong, and first of all, I'm an American citizen here, and I served in the military. And that what gives me the right to say this. I believe that during the Reagan and Gorbachev era, there was a treaty that was signed. But I'm going to go back further than that. Okay, let me go back further than that. During the Kennedy administration, Kennedy used to be the president of the United States. Okay, once upon a time, Cuba, who was led by Fidel Castro, they was getting ready to get missiles from Russia. That's something they was getting ready to do. And the United States was very upset about it. Very upset, threatened, said it would be war. It would be chaos if you do that. Now, they were allies. Okay. So I'm leading up to something, and I'm gonna make, so I got a whole hour, but I'm not going to linger on that too long. So since they had a treaty, they had the right, but the U.S. didn't like this. Let's go to another era. We were upset. We were mad. What happened is during Reagan and Gorbachev, they signed a treaty when Ronald Reagan made the statement about the walls in Germany. Tie down them walls. Okay? And they signed a treaty. I'm going to make like I'm signing a treaty. That no country that annexed are separated from the Soviet Union, separated like taking this arm off. Nobody that's separated from the Soviet Union would be able to join NATO. Now, this is a fact. Okay? And what happened is, Reagan agreed to it. Gorbachev agreed to it. They agreed to that. But what happened is, United States and other nations start to allow countries that separated, are annexed from the Soviet Union into NATO. I said, oh, okay, so that's a violation, because it didn't say something, because that treaty was never re-ratified. It was re-ratified means that it was never changed. It was never changed. Okay. So what happened is the United States, what they did is they put missiles in Poland. Poland, for people that don't know geographics, Poland is next to Russia. So therefore, there are missiles that are pointed at the Soviet Union from Poland. Okay, so therefore, that agreement was broken. Just like the United States felt offended about missiles being put in Cuba, which is, I think, 150 miles away from Florida, the Soviet Union kind of feels threatened about missiles being put in the peninsula of Poland, which is their neighbors.
We know what they look like. Yes, indeed we do, Mr. Stiles.
But see, for people that don't read, they don't really know. You know, and I can't blame you. I can't blame a lot of people because you know what, America has intentionally been dummied down. So just like I said, just like the U.S. felt there are people in Russia that in leadership, not the commoners that understand what was done. Then what happened is the Ukraine wanted to join NATO. And the United States and other countries in NATO was receptive to that, but there was something signed saying that no country could join. So you know what? I think what it is I think that Russia, what they had to do is they had to make a decision. Do we fight now, or do we be surrounded by NATO nations? Do we fight now? And that's the way I analyze it, by sitting down, reading, and doing research. Do they fight now or fight later? Give you an episode of Star Trek. Me and my father used to love Star Trek, and I know there's some people out there that love Star Trek and hate it. Once upon a time, that you know, in the movie Star Trek, the Romulans came over a territory and destroyed the outposts, okay, with aggression, and then they turned back to go back to their territory. And Captain Kirk had to make a decision to let them go back into their territory, which would cause more aggression. I let them go. And Captain Kirk came to the conclusion with the Romulans, if he did not attack then, there would be more, it would provoke more attack. He had to destroy them. In other words, he had to make a decision over whether to fight now or fight later. By letting them go, that would be a sign of weakness. And I believe, I'm no psychiatrist, but you know what? I believe that is what's going through Putin's head and their leadership. You know what? They have to fight now, like Captain Kirk had to make a decision whether to cross over into the Romulan territory to destroy, to ward off further aggression. If they let them go, a fight later on. He had to make a decision. You know, and one other quick example, it's like I got a mob and you got a mob. We signed a treaty. Hey man, you know, we signed a treaty. Can't none of mine that's in my group join with your group. It can't none of yours join in my group. But then I found out that there are people in my mob joining your group. And I'm gonna have to make a decision. So therefore, they joining your mob. So eventually, you know what? You're gonna be coming after me. And I'm gonna have to make a decision. And I believe that Vladimir Putin was forced into making a decision.